1300 01 1170. Matty Johns joins us thanks to New Tech. Our mission is to optimise your business with automation. And I'm pleased to say the great man is back in Australia, standing by. Matthew, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are we? I've got a mouthful of ulcers, a rotten big cold sore, and I laid in bed last night, 13 hours sleep, and just sweated like a pig.
It's the lips. Your lips get affected by the desert air, Matthew. It's your mouth in general.
I know.
What's going on there?
I know. It hits me for sick. As soon as I get off the plane, it just... but great trip. Fantastic. Loved it. Again, it's fantastic. Fan fest.
Yeah.
I mean, you blokes would have spoken all about it, but just great experience.
What's your big takeaways, Matty, from this time versus last time you were there?
Well, I sort of remember more of this one. Oh, you know what? Like it was just great to. You know what I loved, Joel, was the fact that, you know, my best mate in the world, Brian Carney, was the fact that we had a spare seat there, and he joined us on the 3 nights, and you know, watching him with Fletch and Hynes and us up there was. It was fantastic. You know, the boys got to see what a great guy he is, and then his 2 brothers, Kevin and Liam, they flew in from. Liam came in from New York City, went all the way over to the game, watched the first 2 games, then flew back. And Kev come from San Francisco. But, man, just really good to see those blokes again.
What do we think we're going to do next year, Matty? I know Valandos has come out and said, look, 4 games was way too much. Do we feel that because the Super League teams that we did have, Wigan, obviously, world champs, they're a class side, and Warrington, do we feel that we can lock those 2 in, or do we give other teams a crack? Because there is a divide between those top teams and the bad teams.
St Helens.
Well, Saints,
I reckon St Helens and Leeds. I mean, we're a little bit. We're probably a little bit in the past. Like we look at the real big clubs as, you know, the big 4 or 5.
Yep.
But there's been the emergence of other sides like Hull KR and Willie Peters going fantastic. Yep. And, of course, the Lead Leopards have been unbelievable. But I think for the big travelling fans, I think it'll be St Helens and Leeds.
Right.
Leeds, they'll bring tons. Leeds. And I think next year will be bigger for the British sides. Similar, what it was with us is the people sitting at home in England watching it would have seen the whole experience and said, mate, I'm going to be part of that. But it was great to watch the English sides there. The English fans, just everywhere you went. I just love the fact, I think with 15 minutes to go, the stadium ran out of beer. It's the most alcohol they've ever sold in the history of that stadium.
Yeah. And one guy got tasered.
Yeah, one guy.
The one NFL bloke, albeit he hasn't padded up. Our man, the tourist, said he hasn't seen much NFL.
No.
But he just got rugby league drunk. You know when you get rugby league drunk?
Mate, when Braith and I were going to do the commentary with Dan, I looked down and I said, who's this bloke? Who's got the fella here blowing the Raiders' horn? And they went, this is so-and-so, the NFL bloke. I said, that's good. And I looked at him and I thought, he's whipping up the crowd. And I thought, he's in pretty good spirits. But, boy, oh boy.
Yeah, he got in strife. What about this? The Vegas Tourism, Matty, they want to, or Vegas in general, they want to extend the NRL contract by another 5 years. It's the amount of money. So we brought in $100 million. Wow. This is last year.
I heard that going into the games on the Sunday or Saturday over there was the fact that they've still got 3 years to run, but they've already contacted and said, mate, we want to extend, make it a 10-year deal. And the other thing I've heard as well is that Freemont Street, they aren't owned by the city of Vegas. And someone told me, and lots of things going around, but they were some sort of story that the owners of Fremont Street were keen for the NRL to invest in Fremont Street.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
what?
the whole thing
in a casino, Matty, or what?
I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is, but I was told that there were meetings between the Fremont Street people and people representing the NRL about some sort of investment. I don't know. They just obviously look at it, and like it's easy for us with Australians. We always go, mate, everything is so big, and you know it's easy to talk about, and people going, you know, I know there's still skeptics getting there going, was it really 45,000? You know, it's never going to do anything in America. Well, it is. It is, and the fact that, the city of Las Vegas want to, they're the ones that are desperate to extend, says everything about it.
So I only got to that Freemont Street at the very end of it, and it was still pumping. It's the ideal venue because you sort of cornered off into this one little strip. Could you do it in Australia, or is it just too hard? Like, could you throw it in Martin Place with the same kind of party, or you just couldn't?
Well, it's perfect because you've got either side is casinos.
Yeah.
Bars are everywhere. It's like a giant Easter show.
It is.
We were hanging around. But, Matty, the Vegas rate...
Well, I tell you what, like, Caxton Street has not the same feel because you're over there and it's... because it rolls on over the course of the whole weekend. But Magic Round, Caxton Street has that feel.
Yeah.
I just wonder, like, the NRL must look at the city of Sydney and go, come on, you dead shits. The people, and say, come on, give us something.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we're doing in Vegas, and what the money that generates, for the city of Las Vegas, given the fact they want to extend. Surely for the grand final, like, you can do something like that, Joel, in the middle of Sydney, and just generate it generate money. But for whatever reason, honestly, sometimes in like the Sydney City Council, you could come into Sydney on grand final weekend and you wouldn't know it's on.
But you know what? He makes a
disgraceful.
point. So Magic Round, which Matty points to in Caxton Street, you go on there for more than just the game. You go down Caxton Street. We don't have that, do we?
No, because people in Sydney, it says fickle.com.
Yeah.
People got other things going on. It just, for some reason, we just don't sort of grasp it. But the ratings came through, Matthew, of the US ratings. I don't know if you saw this. So 371,000 was the average number. It peaked at 400,000 at kickoff for the first game, but then dropped back. So it was an average. But it was an overall increase of 100,000. That was last year. So if that keeps growing year on year, that's what's that? That's
that's already 33%.
300%, isn't it? 300%.
No,
well, I'll tell you what's strange. I'll tell you what's really strange, and like Trish told me this, was that I reckon when we were over there, I reckon we had, it's only a dozen couples, but we would have had, I reckon, 12 American couples a couple we saw the year before saying, mate, we listened to the family podcast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's quite bizarre. And that we asked them, when did you start to get in the game? And they said, we sort of followed a little bit during COVID, but we came to the games last year and we've just started following all things NRL after that.
If you stay on the English brigade, if you stay on, maybe it is Leeds, maybe it is St Helens, and you go to 3 games, with the osmosis of people coming home saying, you've got to get there, it'll be a sellout forever and a day.
Well, it was. We sold more tickets than last year. It just didn't look like that because of the past. When you leave the stadium, you weren't allowed back in. I don't think the NRL were aware of that. Because look, the third game with the girls, it was over by half time. It was 50.
But we knew that, Brian. We knew it was going to be 80-0. And with the greatest respect, at the northern end of the ground, it was a perfect placement. You had Canberra doing an adopted English side, and you had Wigan there, and you just knew as soon as that game finished, they were all going to the casino together.
Now, MJ, let's get into the Kalen Ponga rumour.
We've only got 1 minute, but Brian, you share the rumour with Matty.
So you've heard that, Matty, about maybe going back to rugby. Beaver across the ditch was just explaining or telling us that he's got some info to saying that he was keen to go to the Hurricanes.
Please. I just can't see it.
Neither can I.
I just can't see it.
But
you look at people like Roger that have gone back there and really gone there and regretted it.
Benji,
I'd be blown away.
But do you feel that that's maybe why the Newcastle Knights put that offer in for Dylan Brown? Do they know something they haven't let us know?
Fletch, I don't know. I think the big reason they've gone after Dylan is that it's just such an over-reliance on Kalen. And they look at the Melbourne Storm model from a few years ago and just make it a big 2 or 3 and build the whole side around it with workman-like players. I just don't see it, Fletch.
Okay.
I don't see him going over there. And look, let's be honest, like Super Rugby. I mean, would it really? I mean, I can understand it with the All Blacks, but
Hey, Matty,
you have to endure Super Rugby.
Hold that
so
thought.
I can't see it.
Now, Brian's got this saying, Matty, that before we go forward, Brian, we must do what?
We've got to go backwards.
We've got to go backwards.
Yeah.
Got to go backwards.
What was your takeaway for those two games? Raiders, Warriors, Panthers, Sharks?
Raiders really impressed me. I mean, look, and it's hard to get a real gauge. You start to get a gauge on sides about 4 to 6 rounds in, but what really impressed me about the Raiders, they looked rock hard fit, and they worked on their game really, really hard. All the young players like Ethan Strange and Savage and Phil, mate, they looked a year older. They just looked more comfortable. I thought Strange was really, really good.
Great.
Fogarty was just, as he just goes about his work, he's he's an easy bloke to underestimate. But amongst opponents and teammates, they rate him really highly. And I love the way that, mate, they're a really fast team. And where they beat the Warriors, you could see early on, everyone in the Raiders side has really good late footwork.
Yeah.
And they were just beating the Warriors first up all the time. And when little blokes make big blokes miss, it just fatigues them. And I thought the Warriors looked tired after 10 minutes because of that. So they look good. Warriors, Tamare Martin had to be there.
Yep.
Right, he's the best playmaker they've got. Chanel, Harris, Tavita, and Metcalf. Look, they're good, but Metcalf's always been a deputy. And people underestimate this because they go, halves are halves. But no, I'm telling you, there's a big difference between wearing the 6 and the 7. And Luke Metcalf's, the best part of his game is his running game. But if you ask him to steer the side around the park, he's going to lose that strength. He's going to lose his running game. And what made him really tough from the other night is even the very best halfbacks, when the forwards are fighting a losing battle, you know, even the best halfbacks struggle. There's only been a handful of halfbacks who can really keep their side under any sort of control when they're losing the yardage battle. And so they were no chance. They're inexperienced in that area. And look, they've got to simplify their game. They've got to have more of a forward game. They've got to build the game around Wade Egan. But Tamari has to come back into the side.
Brian, the wooden spoon each and every year goes to usually a team without a game manager, right? And we've learned from Luke Brooks going to Manly, as Matty says about Metcalf, he's a great deputy, Luke Brooks. And they need to have that game manager. Sharks and the Panthers, have Panthers come back to the pack? Have Cronulla closed the gap? Bit of both? What do you think?
Well, there's a little bit of this with Penrith. Again, I want to have another look next couple of weeks of exactly where the Sharks are. But you know with Penrith is that their best football comes later. Yeah. What was really important with the Panthers is we just knew Nathan's going to get better and better because playmakers peak as the closer they get to 30. So he's going to continue to improve. A vital thing that hasn't been spoken a lot about is Isaiah Yeo. No one doubts his intelligence. At his age, was he going to be able to keep going physically? That was the question. There's no doubt. The way he played tonight is as good as I've seen him move. Got beautiful balance in his game. The test is always going to be, fellas, when it comes to a point in the season where they're going to lose Nathan for a stint. They might lose Isaiah. Righto. I know there's some really good kids in that football side, but you know, can they keep winning? Can they keep in that around that top position? I thought the 6th young Cole.
Yep, Jack Cole.
Yeah, I thought Jack was really good. I think he's doing the right thing there, Ivan. That they play a really complex style of attack and they play it fast. It's going to take a little while for Blaze. You know, Blaze Talangi, if they fancy him as a 6, it's going to take a fair while for him to get used to that. So good signs around Cole, but man, they're going to be at least at very least top 4 again. Sharky's got a few things. I think just a couple of things to work out with the nature of their attack, but you know, Fanua Blake was just everything we thought he was going to be. He's sensational. Just a few little adjustments. As I said before, I'm keen to watch him in the next month just to see how good that performance was the other night.
See, the Nicho thing, I was asked by Jimmy Smith about Nicho, and I was saying Freddie went through a real lean time in about 2001. He went through a real lean time, and I was having a beer with him. He was going to retire. He said, I've had enough. Yep. 2001. Anyway, 2002 came around, and we're just having a yarn. He said the best because he was under the pump. Yep. And I said, Fred, what happened after that? And he said, well, what I decided to do was just forget about ball playing, get on the edge, get on the tip on, and just push up with forwards. And he said it changed my philosophy in the way I was playing. I feel Nicho is at that point in his career. There was numerous times in that game where Fanua Blake pushed up, even Tom Hazelton, and Nicho was waiting for that next play.
Yep.
He's a big body. Nicho's always crabbing across field.
Yeah.
I feel that if he could take a little bit of, especially coming out of trouble, just go, righto. Jimmy Maloney was very good at it.
Yep.
Trent Barrett was very good at it. When they just go, righto, I'm going to get a whack here. And I feel that may bring him on with a bit of confidence. Thoughts, Matthew?
Now, yeah, I agree with you. You know what it is sometimes, Fletch? And we used to talk about at Newcastle sometimes, is it's very easy to suddenly start to finesse the ball and organise around the field. And the first thing you lose in that is you lose that upfield thrust. So Joey and I used to say to each other sometimes, and obviously he was far better at it than I was, some weeks you just got to get out there and play like a caveman. Sometimes you just got to get out there and just challenge the opposition.
Yep.
Don't worry about attacking shapes. Don't worry too much about the organisation. Just tell your forwards to get forward, then take the ball and challenge the blokes in front of you. You know, sometimes halves have got to be reminded of that, is that you have to be a running threat. And sometimes, like, I feel for Nicho because, mate, the last 3 years he has been outstanding. And it's only a little, the criticism just came last year, and he's a naturally, he says himself, he's a sensitive bloke, and that it'll weigh on anyone. But I think for Nicho, there will be a point coming up soon that he'll allow himself just not to care.
Yep.
And when he does that, his football will go through the roof again.
I'll tell you, boys, something about Sheensy. So if he felt that Benji Marshall was playing a little bit too pretty or not caveman-like, if you want to say that, he would say to Benji, I don't care what happens in this game, I need you to be tackled 3 times in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So then Benji would come out with the sole purpose of engaging in the line, getting tackled 3 times, and Sheensy would say every time he did that, he had a screamer of a match.
Yeah. I sometimes feel that, because I realise Nicho, like, is a Dally M medalist, but I feel that Braden Trindle has gone past him in the sense of what he... Braden Trindle, when he came from one side of ruck to the other and threw that long ball, there was nothing else on. Yep. I feel that Nicho needs a play to set up for one, if you know what I mean. Where if he can just get off the back fence and cop a little bit of knocks, that will give him the confidence.
If he goes back, like Nicho can have a great example of watch Munster in 2017. Munster been a fullback and he'd been pushed into the 6. And what he and Slater did together, they both played as 1s and 6s. Like, Munster essentially got the ball and took him on all the time. And as the season, when he'd sensed something is on with gut instinct, he'd take the ball and attack the line. But he played a little bit of 6, played a little bit of 1. That's what I'd be urging Nicho to do. I'd be more than happy if I was Nicho to say to Trindle, Tricky, I just want I want you take control, run the field. Because what I'm going to do, I'm just going to stalk the opposition.
Yep.
I'm going to float around. I'm going to compliment you. But, mate, anything I spot, I'm just going to react to. And I feel for Nicho because the way we're talking sort of can feed his anxiety. But sometimes when you're so close to things and you're involved in it, it's only in time you look back and you actually get a perspective and go, I actually get that now. I understand that. Like I said before, I think he'll get there. If I was Nicho, every time Adam Fanua-Blake got the ball, I'd be right up his arse, and I'd at least be taking the next play. Didn't matter if I didn't see anything. I'd just be calling the ball and challenging the line.
What about this Adam Fanua-Blake? He just runs up to the line, skips, gets to that inside shoulder all the time. But you know what was interesting to me, Fletch, is, and I don't know whether he's carrying a minor injury, but Braden Trindle took the goal-kicking duties, not Nicho. Are they trying to take pressure off him, or
don't know? Maybe he's just been
I
kicking
think
better.
I think there's a slight injury there because he came off in the trial games and he had an ice pack sort of in around the hamstring and the groin.
Yep.
But like you said like I said before, what made the Raiders so dangerous is that every single one of those players has footwork. Like a good step's as good as a good pass.
Yeah.
Like footwork is one of the most essential things in the game, but one of the least practiced when you get to training. And that's what blokes like Fanua-Blake. It's what makes them doubly dangerous. Is you get a big bloke who's powerful and he runs straight at you. Well, a little bloke will get in the way and he'll hold his own. He might miss the tackle, but he'll obstruct him. But if a big bloke like that's got late footwork, it's a nightmare.
Now, MJ, we're back on air tomorrow night after the Roosters and Broncos game. Yep. Benny Hunt and Adam Reynolds, they're the new halves. Chooks have struggled throughout the trials. They were legless against the Knights. Where do you see this game? How do you see this game?
Oh, look, I just, sometimes trials can be deceiving, but I just love what the Broncos did in the trials. I love what they did in yardage because they just didn't do much at all. They just got on. They were just playing so direct, playing the ball quick. Fletch, they look fit. They've got two halves who are highly experienced. It'll carry them in good stead. I think they're going to. Look, they're my tip for the comp. Someone asked me who do you think is going to win. And I said without Jarome, would I risk the Panthers? And I will. I think they're going to go that close, the Broncos.
Yeah.
They look great. They just look great. The other thing they're doing really well, which is a bit of a dark art in rugby league, but controlling the ruck. They were great at controlling the ruck in the trial game. So I only see a Broncos win, but coming into the trials, who knows? But the halves are a real concern.
The Chooks
for the Roosters as well. Yeah.
And the fact that they got no. Last year, because their completion rates in the last couple of years, the Chooks are terrible because they relied on like a Manu can pull something out of his leader.
No Spencer Leniu either.
They don't have that at the moment.
But Fletch, tomorrow night for the show, we're not going to give away what happens, but you've just got to watch this.
Yeah.
Hamale Alakawatu and one of our producers, what takes place is like chilling.
Oh, yeah.
And this will go on and on throughout the year.
Beautiful
I have
stuff.
a feeling it might go. Matthew, Jarome Luai. Luai debuts for the West Tigers. Now, he hasn't got his gang. He's got no Buller. He's got no Appy. So it's going to be all up to him. Thoughts?
He relishes it, Fletch. Yep. He loves it, Joel. Every time he went in without Nathan at points last year, he was best player in the field. In Origin, he was outstanding for the Blues, all that responsibility. I remember his debut game. It was his debut game. They put him in at 7 against the Warriors. He was the best player in the field, and they won 38-4. There's some blokes that would find that responsibility too much. I think he has gone. He's gone for the Tigers. Look. Like being great money and all the rest of it, but he's gone there for the challenge, and he's gone there for his own reputation.
Okay, who wins?
He's a gun.
Who wins? Who do you like, Knights or?
Not a game you want to lose to, by the way, boys. You lose, both will think they're winning it.
You look at the Knights. Knights have got a very, very good side on paper, really, and that's why Adam starts the year under pressure. Is that they're a side that should at least make the second week of the finals. Look, it's Kalen and Jarome. It's whoever has the most dominance on the game is going to win.
That's true. Whoever gets the maximum Dally M points between those two wins the match. I think you're right. Dolphins and the Rabbitohs. Wayne takes on his understudy. That man is Christian Wolf. How do you see this?
Yeah, I like the Dolphins to make the 8.
Yeah, me too.
They lack some depth in the creative positions, but I think Isaiah Katoa will really fulfil his potential this year. Mate, they're a good-looking side. Need probably a little bit more depth in the forwards, but I think Christian Wolf will actually break the Wayne curse, and I think they'll go. I think they'll go forward, and I reckon they can slip into the 8.
Totally agree.
I think that's why I like them. I like them over South. South at the moment has just got too many injuries.
The other thing is playmakers. They're settled. The Dolphins. You got Jamie Humphries starting there at 7. You got Jai Gray at fullback. Namazula's playing hooker.
Now, Matty, quick one.
Plath's a good player too.
Great player.
Yeah. Quick one, because I've got to get 2 bits of advice for you for my man Sugar here. Dragons versus Bulldogs. Cogra is sold out. Flanagan is back at 7. At 6. Sorry, Lachlan Ilias. Who do you like here?
Big chance for an upset. Look, I'll lean to the Dogs.
Yeah.
On the back of guys like Cherry and Crichton. I sort of think I expect them. It'd be a good season for the Dogs if they can maintain. I like them, but man, if there's going to be an upset over this weekend, I reckon this is the one.
Okay, now this is the most important thing. I need a bit of advice.
Real quick one.
What?
We need Seagulls and Cowboys just to wrap it up. And we need Storm
that,
and the Eels. Just a couple of quick words on that.
No, because I know what you're trying to do. You're a deflector. You're trying to deflect. All right. Matthew, what game? Oh, Para and Storm. No Moses.
No Moses. Got to be Storm.
It's got to be Storm.
Okay, get into it.
And Manly and Cows. This is quite an interesting one.
At Brookie.
Manly.
Manly.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, Matthew, our man here, Joel Kane, is going to be a regular on a Wednesday on 360. Every Wednesday, he's joining. He's joining the panel. He's joining Braith. He's joining Gordon.
Very minor role, Brian.
No, it's not a minor role.
Very minor
I've
role at the
seen
back
it.
end. It's the Loz role.
It's a major role.
I used to tune in at that time when former Laurie Daly was on there, and it was some of his best work. Now you're up against, you got the big boys. You got Gordon, who'll just stare you down.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
Braith will try and give you those sexy eyes.
Yep.
Matthew, any advice for our man Shug when he steps onto that set tomorrow night? Oh,
Tonight.
Well, firstly, Joel, welcome to first grade.
Thank you, mate.
I would say just get out there, mate. Be strong.
Yep.
Big, strong first sentence. Back yourself, mate. Don't let Gordon talk over the top of you. If Gordon starts to talk and interrupt a sentence, just go, yeah. Just give me a second, brother.
Yeah.
Okay, you've had a good go. Now let me talk.
Yeah.
That will go good.
That will go good. And if he sticks his tongue out, and his left eye rolls back, you're in stripe.
Okay.
He's going to count. He's going to king you.
But what about, so this is every week now, Brian, on a Wednesday.
Every week.
I might send it to you for feedback, right? So you can say, oh, look, we'll have a video session. You can say, oh, look, we shouldn't have done that, or...
Because what they like to do, they like to look down on you on that show.
Oh, okay.
They just,
true.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you just
Mate,
got to fight back.
Okay.
This is the reason we're in our 13th year, Joel, is we crave feedback. We analyse our performances all the time. In fact, my mate Brian Carney, he said, how long have you Blake's been there for? I said, 13 years. He said, I cannot believe how amateur this show is, that you Blake's behind the scenes. He said, it's almost like you don't care. I said, yeah, I know, it's weird.
Hey, just be careful, because Braith, you'll see Gordon's pocket will be hanging out of his suit, and as they walk around Fox Sports, Braith will be holding that pocket as they walk up and down the halls.
Wish me luck, lads. Thank you, Matty. Well done, mate.
Hey, good luck tonight, Joel.
Look forward to playing first grade. Matty Johns there, thanks to New Tech